Hi everybody, Thomas Moore here at Rebel Income. It's always interesting to see the threads of economic information that emerge every year. While inflation, interest rates, and geopolitical tensions from extended conflict in multiple parts of the world have been a concern for nearly a year and a half, one of the ironies of current conditions is that travel demand has remained healthy. A report I saw this weekend pointed to international travel activity having progressed above pre-2020 levels. That's a positive story amidst a lot of uncertainty about where the economy is going. Travel takes in a lot of different activities, from air flight to destination vacations to day trips out of town to weekend getaways within a reasonable driving distance. For a lot of people, day trips and weekend getaways might also include hopping on a motorbike just to enjoy the feeling of riding down a highway on a sunny day. Harley-Davidson is a recognizable and even iconic name in the United States. The stock has enjoyed a nice upward trend from the end of October of last year, moving from a low at around $26 to a peak in late March at around $44. The stock has dropped off of that high. It's followed the mostly bearish pace of the rest of the market, dropping back to its current price where it's sitting right around $39 per share right now. Skeptics about Harley-Davidson point to aging demographics among their traditional customer base, namely baby boomers and Generation Xers that they predict are going to continue to moderate sales. The company itself has even acknowledged a shift over the last few years in customer trends away from motorcycles, including the kind of heavy bikes that the company is known for, most particularly in the United States. That's a pretty bearish narrative, but it doesn't really line up with the company's earnings and revenue pattern over the last year. It also conflicts with the fact that their healthy free cash flow, solid cash position, and manageable debt give the company a lot of flexibility to continue focusing on a multi-year strategic transformation plan to build consistent revenue and earnings growth. Are the stock's fundamentals, along with its current discount from these historical highs that I mentioned, enough to make the stock a useful value-based opportunity? Let's try to find out. Over the last 12 months, earnings decreased by nearly 36%, while sales dropped by almost 8%. In the last quarter, earnings declined by almost 90%, with sales declining by 32%. Harley-Davidson's operating profile is following the same negative pattern, with net income that was 12.11% of revenues a year ago, dropping to just 2.45% in the last quarter. The decline is a concern, and the proximity in the last quarter to zero doesn't really leave a whole lot of room for error. The counterpoint is Harley-Davidson's free cash flow, and over the last 12 months, they registered generally healthy free cash flow of about $575.5 million. That marks a pretty useful increase from about $287 million 12 months ago and $475 million in just the last quarter. Strengthening free cash flow is a very interesting and useful counterpoint to the negative net income and earnings picture that we just talked about. Harley-Davidson also has healthy liquidity and more than adequate financial ability to service their debt through cash flow. In the last quarter, total cash and liquid assets were more than $1.6 billion, while long-term debt is at about $5 billion. The company pays an annual dividend of 69 cents per share. At the stock's current price, that translates to a modest dividend of 1.81%. Now, Harley-Davidson had paid a much higher dividend than that prior to 2020. In light of the pandemic, management slashed the dividend considerably to just a few pennies per share. Beginning in 2021, however, they began raising the dividend on a gradual basis. Over the last 3 years, they've raised it steadily from 60 cents per share to its current level. An increasing dividend on even a conservative basis is a very significant and useful sign of management's confidence in their business plan moving forward. Now, there's a lot of ways to measure how much a stock should be worth. I like to work with a combination of price to book and price to cash flow analysis. Together, these measurements give me a long-term fair value target for Harley-Davidson at about $46 per share. That suggests that the stock is very nicely undervalued at its current price with about 20% upside. We can see this stock chart is showing us the last year of price activity for Harley-Davidson. The stock has been following a clear upward trend from November of last year to the end of March. The stock peaked at about $44 at the end of that month, and it's been dropping ever since. It appears to have found support at about $37.50 just in the last few days, which also marks current support at that level. Immediate resistance is right around the green 20-day moving average line, which is sitting at about $41.50. Now, if the stock were to drop below $37.50, it should find next support at about $36. So looks like there's fairly limited downside in the stock right now. If it can continue to press higher, there's about $2.50 of room to run to immediate resistance at $41.50, with additional upside at the stock's 52-week high at $44 if buying activity continues. You know, Harley-Davidson is really an interesting company in an economically sensitive industry that I think could represent an intriguing contrarian opportunity in the current economic climate. With that said, keep in mind that high interest rates tend to mute consumer demand for high dollar purchase items like cars and motorcycles. Even so, the stock is trading at an interesting discount right now with a long-term practical price target that I think could make it an attractive value-based opportunity with a modest but certainly useful enough dividend to provide some additional passive income. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. Help me grow my channel by hitting the subscribe button along with the bell so you'll get notified every time I upload new content. If you really want to leverage the power of my Rebel income system with information you can use every day, sign up for a free 7-day trial on my Patreon page. That link is in the description area of this video. Thanks for your time. I'm Thomas. Talk to you again soon. Happy investing, everybody.